Welcome to Let's Talk, where Spokane Talks hosts seek out and discuss the latest on a variety of interesting topics to Spokane and North Idaho. Here's today's host, Mike Fitzsimmons.
Welcome to this edition of Let's Talk. We're talking politics, of course, the November election just around the corner now, and we're reviewing a number of different offices for elections, folks that you need to get to know. And today we're with Tom Konis, who is running for the Spokane County Assessor position. Vicki Horton has decided that she is not going to continue in that office, makes it an open seat situation. Welcome, Tom.
Thank you, Mike. Appreciate you having me here.
You weren't thinking about doing this?
No, absolutely I was not. I actually went into Vicki Horton, the current assessor, and wanted to apply for her chief deputy job because I had heard that Byron was thinking of stepping down. And she told me at that time, no, Tom, you can't have that. I said, okay. I stood up to leave the room, and she said, because I'm not going to run again, and I want you to run, take my spot. So that's actually how it all came down. Took a lot of thought, a lot of talk with my wife to decide that this is really something I wanted to do, because I am not a politician.
Yeah, being a politician is not something you aspired to be.
Totally goes against my grain,
but
typically.
You do know the assessor business, 24 years.
I do.
In this office.
Yeah,
I mean, that's a long time.
It'll be 25 in 2 weeks.
You've pretty much seen it all.
I have. And I also know that there's really no room in the assessor's office for politics. So it kind of fits my personality a little bit better that way.
Well, you have a complete knowledge of all of the duties and responsibilities. You understand what the regulations are, the laws, state laws, and such that apply to the office. What's coming down the pike as well, and also the technology. Let's talk a little bit about the office, though. A lot of folks who are watching this program, and you don't have to be embarrassed to think this, but you see that on your ballot, and you may know something or a little bit about what an assessor's office does. But if you're not a property owner and you're not paying property taxes directly, it doesn't seem to affect you in a direct way. Although if you're renting or whatever, it does. There's no question about it, and you should know that. So let's talk about the office for a bit. What's this assessor office do? What's it for?
We have a number of different things that we do, but the main one, of course, is setting assessed values that property taxes are based on.
So you determine the market value that the
value.
taxes should be, and that's predicated on the sale of other properties of like kind in the vicinity. Yes?
Absolutely. On most properties, that's exactly right. We are required by the Department of Revenue, who oversees the assessor's offices statewide, to be at 100% of market value. So again, what a property should sell for on the open market, irregardless of whether you're thinking of selling your property or not. That still is our charge by the Department of Revenue.
Right.
And on residential properties, especially in this current market, we have a lot of sales to base that on, and we kind of stratify it by area, property types, all the different things that people think about. If you compare a split level to a split level and a rancher to a rancher, and that actually is pretty easy. However, the hard part right now is the 15 to 18% appreciation that we're seeing in the market. We follow the market. Our values that everybody receives their little postcard and just recently are actually based on January 1st of this year, the value at that time. So actually we're 7-8 months behind this appreciating market right now. They're going to go up again next year. They really are. On the commercial side, more often than not, we don't have enough sales to do a value on that. And we do a couple of other approaches. We either use a depreciated cost approach, or we do an income approach. I'm the commercial industrial appraiser for Spokane County. I'm responsible for a little over 10% of the total assessed value of the county. But I do things like downtown. I do all the major medical properties. I do all the major industrial properties, including the Kaiser Trentwood plant. Well, we don't have 3 comps for the Kaiser Trentwood plant, so we do a discounted cash flow, which is a kind of a complicated, detailed income approach based on present value and future worth, and then capitalize their expenses less their capital. I mean, it truly is.
But regardless of the criteria that applies, the bottom line is you're trying to get the best possible expression of the value in real time of that property, so that when taxes are assessed, and when a school bond issue passes or a levy or whatever it happens to be, and it's so much per thousand of assessed valuation, you're getting a real fair and accurate number.
Absolutely.
That's basically what it comes down.
That's what we're trying to treat everybody fairly and equitably. So we all pay our fair share, no more, no less, in taxes.
And it should be noted that if you disagree, you have the ability to challenge that, and I mean there's recourse. It isn't an arbitrary conclusion, and a lot of folks use those mechanisms.
Those avenues,
as well.
absolutely they do.
Sure.
It's called through the Board of Equalization. You can appeal it,
Yeah.
but also more often than not, we can settle if you just give us a phone call.
Right.
Talk to us about what you think's wrong with it. A couple other things that our office does is we're in charge of all property segregations. So if you're a developer and you buy a large tract of land and you want to chop it up into building lots, which is happening a lot right now.
It is indeed.
And then that has to come through us. We establish the parcel layer, get the parcel number on there, so basically your buyer can come in and purchase that buildable lot, because they're not going to come in and buy 80 acres. They want to just buy a house.
And of course, the tax, once you'd establish the value, then the tax that applies is affected by a variety of things as well.
Sure is.
It's the percentage of property tax at the state level, the county level. It's the various things that the voters vote for and decide to underwrite, and how that affects as a cost expressed as a so much per thousand of assessed valuation, and that becomes what determines the tax value in any given year. And that fluctuates because there are things on the ballot coming up in November that will affect future tax issues with respect to both commercial and residential properties.
Yeah, that's very true. We have we have 55 different tax agencies, people that we are beholden to get their budgets, and that's where your taxes are based on. Most of them give us just a budget. So in other words, we get a set number that they need to collect in their area, and we then have 125 different taxing districts that make that up, because they all kind of mesh together. Lines cross between library districts and fire districts and school districts, things to that effect. The schools, on the other hand, are a fixed levy budget.
Right.
Up until now,
State law requires that.
Yep, exactly. Up until now, most of that funding has come from the local school district bonds that we all vote on, and they have been anywhere from $3 to $5 per thousand. That we, the taxpayers, and we, the voters, have approved. There was a decision through the Supreme Court that required the state legislature to fully fund the schools.
It's the McCleary decision.
The McCleary decision,
Right.
exactly. And for this current year, we saw a large tax increase of about 9% across the board, because they implemented that state portion at $2.70 a thousand. And that went to everybody, regardless of where you were. Starting next year, for 2019 tax, that number for the 1 year is going to go down to $2.40. So we're going to see a slight reduction there. The bigger reduction is part of the McCleary decision capped the local school district's portion at $1.50 per thousand, where again, they've been between $3 and $5 per thousand. So we're going to see, without any kind of special levies being passed in the fall, we should see about a $2.50, $2.60 per thousand reduction in our property tax. So if you've got a $100,000 home, you could see a $250 to $260 reduction in your property taxes
And yet, at the
next year.
same time, there are taxing entities that are saying, well, if this is coming down, this is an excellent opportunity to get our requests in and to get the public to approve them so that we can sort of fill that void. As long as that capital is available, let's go after it. Right?
Exactly.
I mean, that's kind of what happens.
Exactly.
I mean,
It's just kind of
makes
just
sense.
human. Yes, it does. One of the other things that we do, speaking of property taxes, is we manage the exemptions programs for the county for property taxes. We've got a couple of different programs. We've got our current use program, which is typically more for the large tracts. It's for the farmers, the timberland people, and you just have to prove that you are really a viable business working off the land, and you can get a reduction in your property taxes and your property values that way. For the senior and disabled people that make less than $40,000 a year, there's also reductions in property taxes available. Right. And it depends on exactly where your income fits in the three different strata, how much you can get. But typically starts off first when you're exempt from all the special levies.
So after 24 years working in this field and not intending to be the top dog in the process, not expecting to be in any of it, you made the judgment to step in and do that. What, Tom, do you bring to the table that you believe voters should recognize and choose you for?
Sure. Definitely, I'm the most knowledgeable and experienced of the candidates. I have a complete knowledge of all of the aspects of our office. There's over 300 laws and statutes, including the state constitution, that dictate different parts of what we can do. They also dictate what we cannot do.
And these could change.
And
every
year.
One term they change. Whatever the state legislature gets together, who knows what's going to happen.
Absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. And we've had assessors in the past that have gotten into trouble with that because they've stepped over that boundary and actually ended up costing Spokane County some money for doing something in error. That I think is the biggest strong suit I have. I'm also have 100% support from the current employees in the office, which is frankly quite amazing and heartwarming to me.
These are the folks who know you best.
Right. But we can't decide where we're going to have our Christmas party and how all of them could get behind this.
But they're all behind you.
Every single one of them. They've signed a petition, every single one of them.
And the outgoing.
And the outgoing,
She's
Vicki
behind you as
Horton
well.
also is and the current chief deputy is also. So
let's talk about the technologies that have affected this office, because it used to be out and you had to eyeball the property and see what improvements have been made and to come up with this sort of a situation. You now have some pretty interesting technologies that'll allow the process to move a bit more smoothly, even more accurately, and allow more time for you to work with the public and that sort of thing, with fewer personnel that have to do this, even if as the number of properties expand per capita. What's coming down the road?
Well, we've got some pretty exciting news. We have a software that was purchased quite a few years ago. It's quite expensive to replace that, so we couldn't really look at doing that. And right now, it's a very laborious process for us out in the field still. We pretty much have a clipboard and a paper or a spreadsheet that we've downloaded, and we use a digital camera. We take a picture of it, we go back to the office, we upload the picture into the computer, then upload it into a program that puts it into ProVal and out on our public information page on the website. The company now has teamed with another company that is using a tablet, and right now they're beta testing it in Ohio. The first responses back from it are very good. We will be able to do all of our inputting from out in the field. It'll be directly uploaded into our system and will be live immediately. This will allow us to spend more time on each property. We'll be able to maybe even go back to the old days. When I first met the assessor, somebody from the assessor's office 38 years ago, it was because he knocked on my door of my house and said, "Hi, I'm Ray from the assessor's office. Can you tell me something about your house?" We don't have time for that now. We can't do it. Our appraisers now, each one of them averages about 45,000 parcels each that they have to do in a year. Now, that's not physically inspect. We physically inspect 1/6 of the county every year, but they're still responsible for establishing a value every single year on that property. So with this new tablet, hopefully we can spend more time out in the field and really make sure that we've got the characteristics right, because we do mass appraisal. We aren't like when you purchase a house or sell a house and you pay a fee appraiser to come out and he works up his 3 comparables and makes little adjustments on each one. We do this more as a shotgun approach. We do hundreds in a day.
Otherwise, it would be an impossibly expensive process.
It would be.
I mean, you'd need to have a cast of thousands to
Right.
get it done.
Exactly.
Which, of course,
and
you couldn't
it
afford
would,
to underwrite.
Right.
The office
You go out and pay for an appraisal now, and it's $300 to $500.
Now, what kind of leadership skills do you bring to this now? You understand all of this, and you obviously have the loyalty and the nod from your constituents in the office itself. What do you bring to this? What value do you bring to this to folks who are watching this program and are asking, okay, so what's in it for me?
Sure. Well, in a prior career, I was in hotel restaurant management, both at the Inn at the Park and what was the Sheraton at the time, which is now the Doubletree. I was food service manager at both of those properties, so I was in charge of about 150 people at each place. I've had prior management experience enough that we have 43 employees total in our office. I think we can keep track of day-to-day stuff on that. I do have kind of a gift of gab. I like to get around and talk to people. I like to see just how everybody's producing. I'm going to hold our managers more accountable than they have been. I believe that they need to be able to manage more. Unfortunately, with our staffing levels lately, they have had to become workers. So we're going to get some goals. We're going to set some goals together and try to really see if we can attain that. Again, more to give better service to the taxpayers of Spokane County.
That's the bottom line.
It really is.
Is better service.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that.
Yeah, I mean, nobody likes the tax man. I don't like the tax man. But it's a job that we're required by law to do. If we can deliver that, again, with an equitable and fair level of assessment and good customer service also, it's about the best we can hope for.
And you're going to manage these new technologies, attempt to acquire the best ones you can get for the money, and as well as to loosen the amount of time you can spend on a piece of property, so you get a better, thorough, more accurate outcome. Is basically what you're looking for.
That's exactly what we're looking for.
Now, you're running for this office, not against somebody. I mean, you have an opponent, but that's not really the point. I mean, when it comes to comparing the resumes, where we look at these things, without the names attached, to be pretty clear what we'd want to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, again, I've worked in the assessor's office almost 25 years. Yeah. I have complete knowledge of all aspects of it, and my opponent has none. He has been a realtor. He's a very nice man. Oh, yeah. We've had coffee. I no ill will against him, but he doesn't know the job.
It's as simple as that.
That's all it is.
The resume doesn't compare.
Yeah.
And that's the reality. Now, in terms of downside issues that might possibly come up in the office, what kinds of things do you need to fix?
Well, our biggest issue, Mike, right now is our staffing level. Our office has a $3.4 million budget, which has gone up a total of 6% in the last 9 years.
And that's
total.
Determined by the commissioners?
That's determined by the
so
commissioners.
So you're going to have to do battle
well, I don't think I need to go do battle, but I think we need to improve the lines of communications with the commissioners. I also think we need to improve the lines of communication with the public. I think that a lot of people were surprised with the large increases in their assessed values they just got. Well, I think that if we'd have been out in front of that and got some information out to them that this was coming down the pike, it wouldn't have been quite as shocking.
Managing expectations.
Exactly.
Because they voted for things that resulted in an impact on their property, and maybe they didn't put the two together, or whatever the case happens to be, but it's not something that happens by accident. It's certainly traceable.
That's correct. As regards to the staffing level now, because we've got such an escalating market, our segregation department is behind. We try to have segregations done within 30 days, and right now we're looking at about 4 months. But there's just so much more demand for that going on.
Which, of course, holds up a developer.
Right.
And time is money.
Exactly.
So that's, you can improve upon that.
Exactly. We had, 5 years ago, we had 9 employees in that department. Now we have 4. Those are strictly just through budget cuts. The other one that is really, that I've really got, has my heart, is the senior exemption department. Those gals are about almost 5 months behind now. With the processing applications. A couple years ago, the legislature increased the income limit from $35,000 to $40,000. It's only a 12% increase, but it actually ratcheted up our applications a lot more. We've got over 9,000 people that are on the program right now.
That plus all the baby boomers who
exactly.
are retiring
all
and are now qualifying for that. And, and are now, knocking on the door saying, I want to take that exemption.
Right. And the problem then, Mike, right now, of course, is if they apply today, we won't get it processed until next year, which means they'll have to pay their second half taxes, which could be a real burden on some people that is unnecessary. Now, once they are approved, we do refund back that money.
Yes, but it's still the cash flow issue for them.
Exactly.
The impact on the household is going to be negative.
Right.
And again, that's another customer service. Can you avoid it? If you can, you should.
So we have been, we've had meetings with some of the commissioners. We've had some meetings with some of the other associations around town to try to give us some assistance. We are really right now asking for 3 new employees.
Just 3?
Just to get us through this. Even with everything else, we're looking for less than $300,000 increase in our budget.
Why just 3? I mean, it sounds as though you could use more than that.
We could use a lot more, but this would get us through. our long-term thing is for 6 employees. We would like to get some more personal property evaluators, get some more residential appraisers, get us actually back to where we were in 2007.
And of course, if you could do that, obviously the cash flow to the county and what have you improves in the process, because once you have more properties assessed and on the rolls and those dollars are coming in, that's one of the ways to fund fiscal issues that they're all looking at in all kinds of departments who have similar issues as your own personnel and otherwise are the same situation.
Absolutely. New construction is one of the biggest issues.
Yes.
We have over $900 million worth of new construction scheduled to be picked up this year. With new construction, it's kind of a bonus money because it's a one-time over and above the budgeted amount by the taxing districts that they get. If we don't pick that up by December 31st, that money is gone.
Yeah.
They just roll into the regular general funds.
So if you're elected in November, what's the first thing you're going to do?
I'm gonna start an employee council. We're gonna bring people in, from the different departments in the office, and as a group, try to figure out what's needed to move ahead. That's one of the first things.
Has there ever been one of those?
Never.
This is your idea.
Yeah. Who better to tell you what's needed than the person on the front lines doing the job?
Let the folks who steer the thing tell you how it runs, right?
The buck's going to stop with me. I'm going to make the decisions whether or not we can proceed or whether, it's a good idea or not. But still, we need to get the input of the frontline employees.
And that will sometimes be somewhat critical.
Oh, absolutely.
You're ready for that?
Oh, yeah. I've been married for 40 years, Mike. I can take criticism.
So that's going to be the first thing you're going to do, right?
That is.
Have you ever
that is the
considered a
most important.
citizens advisory board of some nature too? Because
Absolutely.
you're dealing with the public all the time, and folks could probably foresee things that you might not see coming.
Yeah, that's a very good idea. I have been talking with the Home Builders Association and the Board of Realtors about things maybe that we can do to try to help them also. As far as
one last area, we're almost out of time, but one last area. Amazon.com is coming to town.
Yeah.
Building that massive facility out on the West Plains. That's going to have an impact. We're not even sure exactly what kind of an impact it's going to be, but we know it's going to have an impact, not just a short-term impact, but that's a huge investment. It's going to be a long-term impact on this community. It's going to impact your office.
Oh, absolutely it is. Absolutely. And again, like you say, we don't know what all it's going to bring. But there's definitely going to be a need for housing out in that direction. The West Plains, it suffered at times out there with development. But once we get the city services out there, I think that it really will do well. But again, you're right. We don't know how it's going to impact us.
So it's going to take experience, somebody who knows how to read the tea leaves, so to speak, as to what's happening in order to be able to get the best out of this and the best value for the public.
Yeah,
Tom,
again, that's the whole idea.
Appreciate you coming by. Thank you, sir. He is Tom Konis, and he's asking for your vote for Spokane County Assessor. He's the guy with the experience. I'm Mike Fitzsimmons. Thanks for watching this edition of Let's Talk.
Let's Talk is produced in Spokane, Washington by Spokane Talks Media, which is solely responsible for its content. Ask a question, recommend a guest, and hear this program again online anytime at SpokaneTalksMedia.com. We wish you a great day